As a way of understanding what religion entails, the scholar Ninian Smart has suggested there are 7 different dimensions to religion. The first is experiential, which is perhaps the most basic, and that involves the direct encounter between believers and God, or however they define ultimate reality. The second, which I've already mentioned, is the mythic. These are sacred stories which express truths about the nature of the world and our relationship to what's truly ultimate. The third is the doctrinal. These are the teachings, the sort of the philosophical creeds and truths that a religion propounds to its followers. And this selection from a book by John Hick just makes the point again that myths should not be seen as either true or false, but as pointing to a spiritual, deeper sort of truth. The fourth is ethical, that virtually all religions prescribe ideas of what's right and what's wrong, how people should behave. The fifth is ritual. These are forms of worship and observance, and that they typically reenact stories, myths from the histories of religion, such as in the Christian tradition, communion reenacts the Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples. The sixth is the social dimension. This consists of all the members of the church, the community that they form, the hierarchy. In the case of the Catholic Church, that would include the priests and the bishops and the Pope, etc. And finally, the seventh dimension is the material dimension, which consists of the actual objects and spaces, churches, temples, mosques, icons, images of the gods, etc. This quote from Paul Tillich, another religious scholar, suggests a broader definition of religion than most people would accept. But he argues that religion essentially is your ultimate concern. It's whatever you care the most about, whether that be God, or making money, or your children, etc. To you, that's your religion. Now again, many people think that this is too broad, because it would include all sorts of ideologies and purposes and goals which the average person would not define as religious. But this is just another way to conceive of religion in a more kind of comprehensive sense. This is a rough estimate. It's actually a few years old, so it's probably a bit low, of the relative size of different world religions. Christianity is by far the biggest, with roughly a third of all people on earth are Christians. About half of those are Catholics, the remainder are Protestants, followed by Islam with about 1.2 billion, Hinduism close to 800 million, almost all of whom live in India. The non-religious, people who don't ascribe to any particular religion, are close behind, nearing 800 million. Buddhism then is the fourth biggest religion, with about 350 million, followed by primal religions, which are sort of indigenous traditions like Native Americans and tribal religions, and then atheism, which again is probably not considered a religion, but about 150 million people around the world identify themselves as atheists. Then the smaller religions, including sort of the catch-all category, new religious movements, come in at somewhere below 100 million. And some of these traditions we'll discuss despite their small size, such as Jainism and Zoroastrianism, just because of their inherent interest and or their philosophical and religious significance. This map gives you a sense of where different faiths are located. So obviously Christianity dominates North and South America, along with Europe, and the southern part of Africa due to the spread of missionaries, whereas Islam dominates the Middle East, parts of Southeast Asia, Northern Africa, and then other religions in various different parts of Asia. This is another representation of the relative number of believers in millions, and this actually forecasts how many there will be by 2050. So you can see that both Christianity, Islam are growing very rapidly and are expected to retain their first and second place positions. Hinduism is also growing, mainly because of population growth in India, which is expected to overtake China as the most populous country in just a few years.